Okay, here we are again with another bug infect match. Can't quite remember what our opponent was playing again, but we shall see shortly. This is our opener. A couple of Glistener Elves, a Blighted Agent, some Fetches, and a Groundswell. So, pretty happy with that. Nice number of infect creatures, and a pretty powerful pump spell there. We are on the draw here, so draw Vines of Vastwood, which is nice. Opponent plays a Colonnade, which makes us think blue-white control, or maybe blue-white-red control. Lead off with the Glistener Elf. Opponent doesn't do anything, so we're just going to play a land, attack with the Glistener Elf, and play the second Glistener Elf. I suppose there was a bit of a risk in doing that, in that he could have Electrolyze if he was red, but spoilers, but our opponent is just a blue-white control deck, so this was a good play, pretty much. I'm going to get Overgrown Tomb. Now we have access to all our colours. I'm going to attack and use a Groundswell. Opponent used his Path. Going to go for the Vines of Vastwood. It seems likely that he's going to have a counter for that, but yeah, I don't know if that was the right play, and maybe I should have kept off on the using the Groundswell, but I just wanted to put the pressure on, really. Maybe I shouldn't use the Vines of Vastwood and just play the Blighted Agent, but I suppose that would have been even more annoying if he'd countered that, so I don't know what the right thing was to do. It turns out it wasn't a mana leak, it was a remand, so that's not the worst thing. Let's get to fetch here, so things like mana leak, if he does have them, are going to be slightly less effective. Into 3, play Blighted Agent. Slightly concerned about Supreme Verdict or something, but now that we've got an Inkmoth Nexus down, I think we can take a risk on that. One plays with Vendilion Clip, which is a little bit annoying, means he's going to be able to get this Vines of Vastwood out of our hand. We do draw into a Rancor, which is nice. Get on the Glistener Elf, seems though that's the more expendable one of our creatures. I'm going to attack in. It's going to block. Goes to 6 Infect, and I get my Rancor back into my hand. Could try and Rancor the Blighted Agent, which maybe wasn't the best idea. Maybe I should have kept it to use on the Inkmoth Nexus, as it turns out he did have a Path, and that didn't work out so well for us. So I'm going to try and get in there with the Inkmoth Nexus now. Unfortunately, he has a click, which means we're going to lose a Might of Old Corrosa here. But do have the Plague Stinger to follow up. Sadly we lost my Inkmoth Nexus, but not the worst thing ever. Back in here, got a Hierarch to give an Exalted boost to our Plague Stinger. Could go for the win here, but I think I'd rather just have him take 3 if he's willing to do so. Turns out he has a Snapcaster into Path, which is pretty annoying. Opponent doesn't attack, I'm just going to pass. He uses Think Twice. He plays a Cavern. Very light on lands for a control deck, and particularly it seems as though he's been drawing cards. I draw a Rancor, which I'm just going to stick on the Hierarch, and just going to get aggressive. So attack 3 there. He's happy to race. Seems a bit strange, seeing as though he knows that I have pump spells in my deck and he clearly doesn't. He uses Think Twice, and another Think Twice. X2, play Inkmoth Nexus, and I'm going to attack here with no, I've got Groundswell. Figured he'd activate the Colonnade, but I'm more than happy for him to do that. I'm going to use my Groundswell and kill off the Colonnade. Put him down to 6. He attacks me down to 6, which means potentially dead next turn to Colonnade plus Snapcaster if I don't get aggressive. But as soon as I draw a Simic Charm, I'm actually going to create 2 lethal threats and see if he can deal with that. So activate Main Moth, use Might Volcarosa on the Ink Moth and on the Noble Hierarch. So he's got to find a way to deal with both of them if he wants to survive. This one has another Snapcaster, which you can type. So he uses pet blocks and then uses Path on the Ink Moth. So I'm just going to use the Simic Charm here and pray that he doesn't have any further removal. And fortunately for me, he doesn't, and we managed to win. Maybe a slightly risky play there, in terms of we would have lost next turn if this didn't work out, but I think it was the right move to try and go all in on this and force him to have the 2 removal spells, and as it turns out he didn't have them and we managed to win. So yeah, on to game 2. Oh, looks like we had a mulligan there to start with. Also pretty ugly. Don't know if we're going to mulligan this. I think we probably have to. Yeah, okay, this is somewhat better. There's 5 card hands going, not too bad. Got Glistener Elf into Plague Stinger and the Might of Volcarosa, so decent start. Drew a Rancor there, which is pretty nice. Just going to play out my Glistener Elf. Opponent searches up a Hallowed Fountain. I attack for 1 and try and play a Plague Stinger. I think initially actually I was going to go Noble Hierarch Rancor and then convince myself out of doing that, which was probably the wrong decision, as it turns out he has the Mana Leak. I knew he had a counter and it probably would have been better to play 2 spells and make him make a choice about what he wanted to counter rather than just run out the Plague Stinger into a Mana Leak. So yeah, mistake, but if I wanted to play the Hierarch I should have played it pre-combat, so play Rancor and Noble Hierarch this time. Attack for 4. Here's a Path for the Glistener Elf, which is kind of annoying. But we do get to keep our Rancor, seeing as though he let me play it before passing. So here I draw a Blighted Agent, which is pretty nice. I decided to start off by playing the Spellskite, but unfortunately he has a Vendilion Click, which means we're going to lose our Blighted Agent. So maybe I should have played out the Blighted Agent first, but the reason I played the Spellskite was to try and attract a counter spell, which didn't work out quite the way we wanted it to. So yeah, we lose the Blighted Agent, drawing a Verdant Catacombs, and like last game we're going to have to go on the Noble Hierarch aggro route, which is somewhat unconventional, but if he wants to race, then I'm happy with that. We can go damage route. So this is something you certainly can do with the Infect deck if it comes down to it. Just drawing some cards, trying to race this with Click, which I'm pretty fine with. Looking down to 10 or a 9. Yeah, flashbacks are still very low on lands. I don't know what kind of land count my opponent was running, or if he was just very unlucky, but both times he got kind of stuck on lands after playing his 3rd. Here's Phyrexian Crusader, which came out of the sideboard. Basically says protection from Path, which is pretty nice in this matchup, since that seems to be his main removal spell. So I think the plan here was to use the Might of Volcarosa on the Noble Hierarch. Basically the plan was to attract attention to the Hierarch. If he wants to spend 2 removal spells on getting rid of the Hierarch, then I can just have the way cleared to dropping a Phyrexian Crusader, which should be able to go the distance hopefully. So I'm going to hit 7 trampling damage here. He goes down to 3 and doesn't have any answer to that apparently, so good for us. Decided to hold back on the Crusader in case he's got some sort of wrath effect. Something to think twice there. So he holds back on the click, discards a click, another click, and the Sphinx's Revelation. So yeah, seems to be struggling quite a bit. Glistener Elf, attack here. Use a ground, try and use a groundswell. There's a path which we're going to use on our. Going to redirect to our spell site, and then use his negate. So we're going to be able to knock him down to 1, but unfortunately we're now out of non-infect creatures. So I'm going to have to go the longer route and infect him now, which is kind of funny in a way. Again, could have played the Crusader, but decided against it because scared of wrath effects and things, and I think this Glistener Elf puts on enough pressure on its own. So he finally finds his 4th land and has a detention sphere for my Glistener Elf, which is somewhat annoying, but I do get my Rancor. For another Glistener Elf, but this time I'm going to go with the Crusader. If he's got cards like detention sphere, then it seems like a decent idea to play a card that's immune to that, rather than allowing him to buy any more time. Have another Rancor, deal 6 infect here to 7. Here's another detention sphere. Going to get rid of both the Rancors, but it's probably not going to be sufficient. He's only got 1 mana left. Can't use path. Short of a 1 mana bounce spell, I can't think of anything that could stop me from winning here, so I'm just going to use the Simic Charm and finish him off. So yeah, that was a pretty good game. Control looks a quite interesting matchup. The ones that have got red and cards like Electrolyze are probably going to be difficult, but against blue-white, I think you've got a pretty good chance. Crusader's a good card out of the board, and you just have a very fast start, which is difficult for them to deal with. So yeah, that's how that game went.